Okay, everyone, thank you very much for joining this call tonight. Appreciate you all being here today, especially after Christmas. And I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. I know I did. It was very, very intimate, very, quaint, but that's the way I like them anyway. Sometimes I like them big also with the family and the whole thing, but it was just perfect. So anyway, I was saying hello to all of you before, and I wanted to express to you the reason that we're having teleconference calls like this. Because, of course, as you may all know, we are experiencing just strangeness in the world, just a lot of negative situations that are happening, and it's usually the symptoms of, when things are dismantling, when something that is not working dismantles, that's usually what happens, when we demolish a building, for example. It's not usually very clean, there's a lot of dust that's kicked up in the air and a lot of rocks and things, and it's kind of chaotic when a building is dismantled, right? So it's the same thing when a particular world, any particular world, whether it's in this particular world called Earth or any other system out there that is in the process of growing, you kind of have to shed off that old skin, in order to bring in the new. So, but because, we happen to be inhabitants of the world, we are going to be experiencing a lot of the rocks and the dust and the turmoil. And so what we're trying to do is, not only protect ourselves in the physical form, but also try to rise above it and to the point where we're not in fear. We definitely want to come across, to the other side of this unscathed and in, an expanded, consciousness with a much higher vibration so that we are where we're supposed to be according to our life or our spiritual journey, should I say, according to where we're at in our spiritual journey. We want to be able to get there, but we can't get there if we're stuck in fear, all right? So one of the things that we do with this series and what I'm trying to do in the books that I've written is to inoculate us, first of all, to understand what we're facing, because we can't inoculate ourselves or address anything if we really can't name it, if we're afraid to name it or even face it. So we've got to be able to be in a point of inner peace so that we can face it, we can name it, and then we can address it and overcome it. And so, a lot of it is we're going to be seeing, again, things that are not exactly great, by the human standard here. And we want to be able to maintain our composure and to be able to not only protect ourselves but protect our loved ones as well. But it goes beyond that. It's not only about protection. It's about feeling well, being able to have the right type of health, being able to control, any illnesses or any, things that are not in alignment with our bodies, because if we can't do that, then it's harder for us to maintain a higher vibration. If we don't have a higher vibration, then it's harder for us to be in that point of where we're in our core, where we're in peace. So everything is kind of interconnected, and a lot of it comes with a lot of training with our thoughts and our emotions and our actions. So all of this is interconnected. So part one of the first teleconference call dealt with having to be in control of our thought processes or of our actions, of our emotions. We can't just let them go awry. Just take over us to the point where they're in control. That aspect of us is in control, and we're not. We have to be in the position where we have not only the choice of how to act, how to think, and how to feel. Okay, we have to be, not only have that choice, but we have to actually exercise that. So that's what we did last week. We covered all of that. And we went into the Kadosh mantra, how important that is, because if we do, nothing else, and you decide at some point or something happens that you can't continue with the series, at least you have the Kadosh mantra, because that is, without fail, the most powerful mantra there probably is in the universe. I mean, it just there's nothing like it. It shifts everything, okay? So if you do nothing else, please use that. If you were not able to participate in last week's call and you haven't heard it yet, the recorded version of our call from last week, please listen to it because it will go into that. Now, at some point in the series, we will go further into the Kadosh mantra, okay? But at least I wanted to touch upon it so that you can all have it in case, we don't have anything else. We never participate in this anymore, okay? So, now, again, these calls are for personal use so that we can, overcome challenges in our personal lives, which could include drama, could include financial situations, could include interpersonal relationship situations, it can include illnesses, all kinds of things that are not in alignment with your divine, truth and your divine right as heirs of the divine throne of God, okay? So if those things in your life are not in alignment to that, then the series will help you to do that. But it's also global in scope. So the aim is to get really good at this. This doesn't come overnight. I promise you it doesn't. And the only reason that it's being, that it's worked for me personally is because I've been doing this, like I said, and I don't know if anybody's read my books or even heard anything, but I've been doing this for a very, very long time since, a child, and I didn't know any better. I did not know that this was not normal for everybody else, and it is normal for everybody else if they kind of, realize that, oh, gee, this is normal. I can do this. This is not fantasy. This is not a movie. This is for real. But not everybody thinks that because we come in with amnesia. So I've been doing this for a long time, and it's going to be hard to break certain habits and acquire new ones. And these are the new habits that you need to acquire. And one of them is to be in constant prayer mode. Holy cow, a lot of people are not, right? So that takes a lot of practice. And to take away the idea of what we call belief, we cannot be in belief mode any longer. We've got to be in knowing mode, and that takes practice. So we're going to be going into all of that. So we're doing this so that we can all polish our skills so that now it becomes second nature to us, so that we're not, following, like, for example, the book is almost like a manual. It tells you step by step what to do. So you don't have to use your intellect continuously. Oh, I've got to do this number one, and then I got to let me see, what do I got to do? Oh, I got to do this number two, is this one. At some point, you're going to be doing this so often that now it's second nature to you, so it's no problem. No problem implementing all these protection tools. No problem manifesting this, that, or the other. No problem, visualizing yourself being healthy or actually healing someone, or yourself or your pet or anyone, okay, or anything. It's going to be second nature to you. The idea behind it is that we're all able to do that at some point together. And the quicker we can get on board with this, the quicker we can now, let's say, Susan needs a healing, or Patty needs a healing, or I need a healing, or whomever needs a healing. Okay, we're all going to get together as a group, and guess what? It's not just me trying to heal Patty anymore. It's going to be all of us. Okay, and if it's already working for you because you've been doing it and you can see the evidence that it's working, because I know that people that do the Kadosh mantra, they see the evidence immediately. I mean, they can feel it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It's real. So if we're all doing the Kadosh mantra and we're all manifesting the way we're supposed to be manifesting and feeling, healthier and thinking clearer and our emotions are correct and our actions are being in service, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, if we're being Christ-like, we have a very, very high chance of not only helping our, the members of the group with any challenges that they may have, but we're going to be able to, help those in our communities. We're going to be able to go in and maybe, implement and help implement, change in our cities and in our countries, okay, in the whole world. It's a global scope as well as a universal scope. Okay, so it only really, it doesn't take a lot of folks to do that if we're really getting very powerful and strong. And remember, this is, a lot of people could say, well, this is magic. It isn't magic. This is our divine inheritance. This is who we are. This is what the ascended masters do. okay? And if we can become and emulate the Ascended Masters, become like Ascended Masters, become Christ-like, we are going to be able to do all of this and more, okay? So that's the whole purpose behind this, not only for you to use it individually every day in your own life. We could use it together as a group as we come together and we ask, okay, well, who has a need, who has a challenge, and then we can all come together and manifest a positive outcome because we're manifesting it because we know that we can realign that individual's life stream to the divine, and that person will be realigned, okay? And hallelujah, that is absolutely great. And by the way, you will hear hallelujah every so often. It's not for anything, but it is like an expression of me being exalted by the divine. Okay, so that the whole point is to be able to change things when we come together, because we come together with a single focus, and because we come with these techniques that are so polished that they have no other outcome but to manifest. And I do challenge you all, too, that if you do find that these teleconference calls are of benefit to you, that you're learning something, that you actually are seeing changes in your life for the positive, wonderful positive changes, then to, perhaps invite others, because as the group gets larger and we start becoming more proficient in these techniques, the more that we are, the quicker we can effect change in the world. I hope that everybody gets to understand that, and we're all on the same page. All right, so like I said last time, we were talking about raising vibration, and it's really a lot of that is choice. Everything is choice. Okay, so we're put into this planet for the reason of one of the reasons is we encounter challenges, we encounter negative things continuously, and the reason is that a lot of times it's because we need to be pushed, we need to be challenged. There is nothing that that will make us grow quicker spiritually than those challenges that are really not pleasant. Okay. Then, of course, there is the extreme, which is what we're seeing in the world at large right now, but at the same time, that, too, allows us to make choices as well, which is, for example, what we're doing now, getting on a call, okay? The choice of not getting on a call or getting on a call because it's important, because we need this information. We need this information, like, right now, because to not have it means that we'll fall into the reality of the stuff that's dismantling right now, and we don't want to be part of that. So we need something to counteract that. Okay, so that is a choice, right? So that's the reason that I'm saying that by getting higher vibration, being in a higher vibration is a choice, and we started with making sure that our thoughts are we're choosing the right thoughts. Okay, that we're, instead of having negative thoughts about somebody, either having no thoughts at all, in other words, being neutral about a certain person, or just saying, you know what, I totally empathize with that person. I can see that person has challenges in their lives, and that he's a divine person or she's a divine person. Whether that person is divine or not, it's regardless, And again, we do it not for that person, we do it for ourselves, so that we have inner peace, so that our that chatter in our head that is trying to look disfavorably upon another human being doesn't become an emotion. And once it becomes an emotion of hate or disdain or something like that, then that also pulls in our action, and our action would be maybe to be anger, to hit, maybe punch, the table, or maybe yell at a person. Everything kind of like influences everything. So our thoughts influence our emotions, and which, of course, influence also our actions. And so if we can clean our thoughts, maintain our thoughts pure, and maintain them of, good things and positive things, then it won't pull into the negative emotion. It'll either maintain the emotion to be neutral or maintain the emotion to be of either joy or love, and then that will, of course, pull the right action, which would be, of course, to be in service, to do a random act of kindness, whatever that may be. That is a positive action. So this time around, I'd like to focus into addressing the importance of nutrition for raising vibration. that is critical because, as you can see, the powers that be, or that were, or there still are, or whatever, the powers that are right now in control of this world, of this planet, they're very knowledgeable, okay, about what it is that we are, what we're capable of doing. We, those that are serving the light right now. And so whether we're servants of the light or, we're a starseed or whatever we are, it doesn't matter. Humanity in general, they're trying to quash the potential of us, being divine again. And in other words, not being divine, but because we are, but, it basically just shining, okay, our lights, that we can actually become the change or transform this world. So what they do is they do everything to create situations and scenarios that will make us ill, and again, I already know that you all know this. But again, if you look at the situations, for example, a Fukushima, for example, which in reality wasn't really perhaps an earthquake, or if it really was an earthquake, then there were certain things in those, nuclear power plants that really shouldn't have been there, like really old, antiquated rods, and they whatever it was that led to one thing that led to the other. The situation is that there's radiation everywhere, okay, and so that creates this scenario where our food is contaminated. That's number one. Number two, then you've got, for example, chemtrails. Whatever the reason is that they are spraying, whatever that agenda may be, because no one really knows 100% unless you're one of the ones that are in the know, in that little inner group. We can just speculate, but indeed, there's things that are being sprayed over our heads right now, that it's not just over our heads, of the air that we're breathing, these nanoparticles and all kinds of like toxic, things, and that we're breathing. It's becoming part of our bodies. It's not, it's obviously, creating illnesses that haven't even been people don't even know what Morgellons is right now. You talk to a doctor, they don't even know what that is. So, it's creating a whole bunch of like very strange health issues. On top of that, it's falling on our food. So when we really think that our food is organic, it really isn't, unless you're growing it indoors. And I'm talking about a greenhouse situation. But at the same time, it's falling in our water, and it's falling, so we're drinking it. So we have to be very, very vigilant about what we're eating, what we're consuming, because it becomes part of us. So we need to make sure, and besides the fact that we're eating all this stuff that is being grown outdoors and everything, we have to be very, very cognizant also of what they're doing, for example, with the kind of foods that we're eating. So we have to be, again, make choices. Make choices of what we're going to eat. For example, when you look at the labels and you're seeing that it's processed foods, that it's got a whole bunch of different nitrates and nitrites and this and that and the other, and, it's all like stuff to preserve the thing. You know what? All of that is really put there to start disintegrating your body. Whether it's going to take several years or maybe, most of your life, it's going to eventually cause illnesses. And so, more than likely, sooner than later, you might start feeling not very well. And again, here was the premise: if you're not feeling well, then you're still thinking about your flesh and your body hurting and this and that and the other, not getting things done, and all this worry and anxiety and stress, that you can't really connect with your higher self, let alone, your creator, because you're so stuck into this realm, into the flesh, into the physical, but not in a pleasant way, in a very unpleasant way. So in a way, it's your own hell. So it's all done by design. It's all done in purpose. And so the antidote is really you being cognizant of this and doing something about it. So, if we're seeing a world that's collapsing and, we're seeing, for example, all the things that are happening in the Middle East and everything like that, okay, little old you can't, just do something about that, because that's so huge and just overwhelming. It's impossible for me, even though I see it, and I can call it. I know it probably, their next step probably even before they even thought about it. I can't do anything about it because it's just beyond my scope of, being able to control it. However, I can control myself. I can control my thoughts. I can control my emotions. I can definitely control how I act, and I can definitely control what I eat. Okay? So definitely read all the labels. Make sure that things are not processed foods. Make sure that, for example, what is a processed food? For example, deli meats. Guys, that stuff is just poison. Just absolute poison. Again, it's a great way to preserve meats and whatnot, but that's not the way that the human body was intended to nourish itself. Bacon, turkey, even if it's turkey bacon or pork bacon, it doesn't matter. Either way, it's all preserved the same way, pretty much. Canned goods, just make sure that you read those labels. I mean, the majority of canned goods are either in some kind of aluminum can or some kind of tin can or some kind of can, and it's got chemicals in there. All those things are going into your body. It's all being leached into the food, and you're consuming that, and it's now becoming part of you. Wheat products. All the wheat products, are most of them. I don't know about all of them, but I think there's a very high majority of them now are now GMO. So again, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's genetically modified organism, or basically they're genetically modified, period. And so they're not people. Okay, it's just not sitting right with the human being. Okay, with the body, with the organism, because there's such a high amount of people now getting all kinds of gluten sensitivities and just basically autoimmune illnesses. Because of this, it's just very high, and now they're having even commercials where I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it was some kind of cereal commercial where they have a little child that can now eat their non-GMO cereal. A child, because the child has gluten sensitivity. So how does the child get gluten sensitivity? You say, so it's either passed by the parent or the mom, or it's the kind of food that they're eating now. It's just so overwhelming with just nasty stuff that children are picking it up earlier. Again, it's a way to eradicate a lot of the population quickly, all right? Or again, to disconnect us from our divine source. Soy, again, GMO'd. Corn, a lot of it is GMO'd. And the best way to overcome this is, of course, to eat things that are, that are back to basics, just things that are just think about back in the days of the Neanderthals or the paleo times where people would eat raw food, because it was full of nutrition, veggies, fruits, nuts, things like that. And if you are going to eat things like meat, because a lot of people have a need to eat meat, whether it's chicken, red meat, or fish, then just make sure that it's free range and organic. That the chicken or the beef is not eating grain that is GMO, because if they're eating it, then you're consuming it as well. So it's more expensive, as you all know, but it's important. It's important for us to be able to tackle this, because it all boils down to what we eat becomes part of our bodies through the nutrition that our cells, take. So our cells are being nourished by that nutrition, which is if you're putting in garbage, you're going to have garbage. Our cells are they're going to atrophy because of the fact that they're not getting the proper nutrition. You're putting toxins in there. So they're not multiplying correctly. And they're not multiplying correctly, then the organs and everything that are part of the main parts of your body that are necessary to allow you to function as a human being are not, functioning properly, so that you can be, your divine self, so that you can express as your divine self. So what happens is instead is you feel lousy, so you become grumpy. You get into a bad mood. You don't get up with in the morning with this zest to do something. You just want to kind of like linger or maybe sleep longer than you need to and things like that. So in order to become, productive in this world, we need to feel well. We need to be, in the zone with our health. The stuff that they're putting in our foods is not doing that. Dairy is another product that human beings don't need anymore. We don't need milk, right? I mean, think about it. If when we were babies, we drank milk, but we drank milk for, it was our mother's milk, unless our mother couldn't produce milk. But at this point in time, we're adults. I mean, do we really need milk? Milk is, honest to God, guys, it's mucus, and as much as I love milk, that's the truth. And so just because you take the mucus and you shape it up in different ways, you put the mucus in different, textures and things like that, it's still mucus. And a lot of that milk, unfortunately, they do put antibiotics and they put hormones and a lot of stuff like that. The cow probably is eating grain that is, of course, GMO'd. So again, all of that is going into your bodies. If you have to have milk, then make sure that you get the right one. Make sure you get the right one. Unfortunately, the cow is grazing on grass that has had that grass probably sprayed over with chemtrails and whatnot. So again, it's all getting into your body. So just watch what you're eating. And there's other ways of taking care of this, which we're going to go into a little bit. What I'm trying to say is if you just make the choice, the best choice that you can make at the time, and then if the choice is, well, I have no choice but to eat this, okay, then we have to take it to the next step, which would be eventually blessing our food, because that's one way to take care of the situation. So, again, please read all labels for all ingredients. The purer it is, the closer to it being in its natural state, the better. I strongly recommend for you guys to check in, if you want to go into the Whole30. It's called the WHOLE30.com, and it's just a site where you can get all the different types of foods that you can eat and the ones that you cannot eat. It's a good chunk of the ones that you cannot eat. And you do this whole thing for 30 days. The point is to eliminate everything that is of preservatives, anything that has sugar, anything that is that has the potential of creating inflammation in your body. And, again, the inflammation, a lot of it causes, bloating, causes that feeling of lethargy, and your body is not absorbing the nutrients correctly, and therefore your cells are not getting nourished. And if your cells are not getting nourished, they're not reproducing correctly. They'll reproduce incorrectly, and sometimes it becomes cancerous because of that. That's one of the reasons. The other reasons are, too, that when you're eating things that are not right for you, then you're producing bad bacteria, okay? You produce bad bacteria that, of course, ferments, and it's fermenting in your body, in your gut, and, again, causes the inflammation. A lot of that would be grains. A lot of grains are creating people a lot of inflammation, a lot of gluten insensitivities, a lot of, autoimmune disorders and diseases and illnesses and whatnot because of the grains. Funguses are also a problem because of grains and sugars. Candida is one of those, and that has so many symptoms. It's not even funny, including cancer. So if you can all just check it out and see, I've done it several times now, the Whole30, and I'm going to tell you that you feel like $1 million because you remove everything that is causing the irritations in your system, in your body, and when you start introducing them slowly, you know exactly the ones that are the problem, and you either eliminate them completely from your system, or you eat them with a risk. Of course, you're going to feel it immediately that what is actually causing the situation in your body, so that you can obviously make the choice of either eating less of it or not eating it at all. So definitely check. I think the paleo diet is also an interesting one, but I haven't done that one. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about is parasite removal. Parasites are obviously they're creatures that that are in your body. It's just part of nature, right? But the thing is that in reality, it's just that bad part of the thing, and they're consuming things that are putrid. Okay, they that's what they eat. They eat decayed matter, and they have a consciousness. It's a very low consciousness. Obviously, they're not very evolved things, which of course lowers your vibration as well. So we don't want that in our bodies. They again, they have a purpose, but we don't really need them, at all. So they really need to be removed, and a lot of parasites obviously cause illnesses, and so the quicker we can remove them, the better. There is I think it's like a series of books, or if I'm not sure if it's a series of books, or I think it is a series of books, because the one that I'm going to refer to now is called Book 1. So it's The Essene Gospel of Peace, Book 1, and it's by, let's see here, Edmund Bordeaux Sekeli, and I'll spell Bordeaux, B-O-R-D like David, E-A-U-X, and the last name is, I think it's Sekeli, and it's S like Sam, Z like Zebra, E-K-E-L-Y. I'm going to be posting that in the group page as well, so that you guys have access to it. But Jesus, supposedly, now this is, I believe it's a book that was found as being part of the Dead Sea Scrolls, if I'm not mistaken. And this gentleman, Sekeli, translated it from Hebrew or Aramaic or something like that. But anyway, Jesus talks about how important water is to cleanse, not only the outer, the body and the outside, but the body in the inside. He goes into that extensively. I was reading one of the Amazon reviews, and I think it's the first one on the top, if I'm not mistaken. The reviewer states the following. He says, I do know that the healing method outlined in this book works. I was bedridden for nearly a year with a severe blood disorder, and the MDs had given up on me. I applied the healing method, and I found in the Essene Gospel of Peace, Book 1, eating a diet of raw fruits, vegetables and sprouts, and fasting to cleanse the toxic matter out of the body. My healing was like walking out of a cloud of fog. I believe that the Essene Gospel of Peace, Book 1, is one of the most important books ever published on health, diet, and spiritual living ever published. And that's Pete from an Amazon comment or review. So it's really, really important. Jesus talks about, for example, when you're feeling ill, one of the things that you would be doing is to connect with nature. He talks about connecting with nature, allowing the wind or air to embrace your body. So he basically is talking about just being in nature, pretty much stark naked, okay, allowing basically for you to take in nature. The same thing he talks about being in water, and I guess he must be talking about a river or something like that, where you're actually, again, naked, maybe putting your feet in the water, bathing your body in water. But then he also talks about how important it is to not only, again, cleanse your body and the outside, but to also cleanse yourself within. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if I can pick up anything that is interesting here about that. He says, think not that it is sufficient that the angel of water embrace you outwards only. I tell you truly, the uncleanness within is greater by much than the uncleanness without. So that if you are, if he talks about, the stuff that comes from within, when you cleanse yourself with water, all that putrid stuff comes out, and he was talking specifically about parasites. He goes into a whole thing about parasites, how it's, he calls it, in this particular translation, Satan. So, in other words, the forces that are of the opposition, the darker forces, reside in things that are putrid in nature and things like that, so we need to get rid of them. I strongly, really, really suggest that you guys read that, because it's just so amazing that he went into such in-depth explanation of how important this is. Okay. Water. It's really, really important, really important that we drink enough water. I mean, it's always better to drink more of it than to drink less of it, but because we are 75% of our body is made up of water, and our cells are made up of water. The outside of our cells and the membrane area is made up of water. Our blood is basically water as well. It's really important that we have pure water, okay, and enough of it. And the water holds memory, okay, as we all know. If we don't know this by now, it does. So it's really important because our bodies are made up of so much water that our thoughts and our intentions and our emotions and our actions, because it's all connected, has to be, we need to take off our training wheels, okay, that we've been in spiritual 101 or 102, wherever you're at this point. We need to take those training wheels off and start practicing everything that we've learned up to this point and actually, doing it, okay? We already, I think, know enough by now, I'm hoping, that we can start emulating what it is to be Christ-like, okay? And I always say, fake it until you make it. You kind of know what a Christ-like quality would be versus one that is not. So if you are, faced with making a choice between one that is not and one that is, make the right choice. Just act the correct way. Don't raise your voice. Don't insult somebody. Don't do. We all know what that is. So we have that choice. So because, as we already know, if we have seen any of Dr. Emoto's studies, and there's other studies in frequency and kymatics and things like that, all this stuff is real. That the molecules of water, when there is a certain intention put through a word, okay, love, okay, I can say love, and I could be neutral, I can say love, and I can actually put the feeling of love in my voice, and I can emote that energy, that the water particles will change into something either beautiful, or if I, say something that is not of positive energy, it will change into something that is ugly. Okay, something that is like just, I mean, it's got no shape. It's just an ugly looking shape. Okay, so this stuff is true, and so because we're made up of so much water that if we're not being careful now, okay, during especially these times where all these things are causing fear and apprehension in the outside world, if we are seeing it and observing it and then buying into that fear, then our bodies are being affected as well, on top of the fact that not only are we creating the situation in our own bodies through our thoughts and our water molecules, which are part of our cells and in the membrane of the cells, and all those have to be pristine in order for those cells to communicate back and forth with each other so that they can reproduce correctly, so that they can tell the organs, hey, we're going to be functioning correctly. We're going to be putting in X amount of insulin out there. We're going to be putting X amount of bile out there to be able to digest our food and whatnot. Whatever it has to do, our brain has to be able to function through the synapses and the neurons and whatnot. All those things have to happen, but the communication has to happen, because the cell is working properly, and it's not going to work properly if the water that is within it is the messages are being corrupted because the molecules are ugly. They're not functioning right. They're not pristine. So we have to do our part as well, and so then after we obviously are in that state of balance where we're, in equanimity, where we're thinking right thoughts, where we're, feeling the right emotions, where we're acting the right way, and we're eating the right foods. Okay, we're drinking enough water to keep our bodies lubricated so that, we can have those perfect, sacred geometry shapes in our molecules because we're thinking divine thoughts. Then we're radiating, guys. Then we have the capacity of vibrating, okay, of raising our frequencies to a higher level, more than ever before. So we don't want to pollute our environment, and our environment is not exactly the environment like your room. We're talking about the environment of ourselves. So we have to make sure that everything is pristine, everything. And food, thoughts, emotions, the energy that you're surrounding yourself with. You don't want to be surrounded with toxic people either, because then they sometimes pull us into that reality. They're going through a drama and they want to tell you all about it. If you can protect yourself and you know how to shield yourself so that you're not affected and you don't buy into that drama, and now that drama is part of your reality, then go right ahead. Otherwise, my suggestion is remove yourself from that. Just like you would remove yourself from, being in a muddied pond, or something, a sewer. You're not going to go swimming in a sewer. You're going to remove yourself from that. So that's what we need to start doing. Just being with like-minded people that are at the same level that you are, that they pull you up, not that they bring you down. Let's see here. What else I wanted to talk to you. Again, other things that we need to be very, very cognizant of, and a lot of us, unfortunately, even though that we are, in the spiritual path, we're still making the wrong choices with respect to substances and toxins and addictive things, and it's important to be able to control that. That is a choice as well. And some of it is a little harder to let go because of the nature of the substance, because of its addictive quality, again, on purpose sometimes. But we need to let go of it. And sometimes, additives and, for example, MSG, it's addicting. It just is. If you eat at a Chinese restaurant, and the reason you crave it sometimes is because of that addictive quality of MSG. Let's see here. Things that keep away from sugar. Sugar is very addictive, and it's not good for you. And again, it feeds into that candida, which is again one of those things that you don't want in your body, because it's almost like the invasion of the body snatcher. It's something that doesn't belong there, and it's really sometimes really hard to get rid of. So in order to get rid of something like a candida, you got to starve it, just like you starve dark entities. You starve them by, again, correcting your thoughts, emotions, and thoughts and actions, because when you're not putting out any more negative energy out there, their food is gone. So therefore, you're starving them. Therefore, they leave you alone. When they can't find any more food and comfort from the home that you've given them, which is yourself, you starve them. They pretty much are saying, there's nothing else here. The bar's closed. I'm out of here. So they leave. All right. So the same thing that we're going to do, in starving the candida. We need to get rid of sugar. We need to get rid of all the preservatives. We need to get rid of all the food, that starchy stuff. It just doesn't belong. It's not part of the original diet of the divine human being, okay? Tobacco products, holy cow. I mean, my gosh, I know that there's many of us that smoke, all right? I hate to break the news to you, but tobacco is the nicotine is worse than cocaine in terms of addiction. It's that hard to kick. I used to smoke. I used to be a very heavy smoker, and believe you me, that it is extremely, extremely hard to kick. And on top of that, it creates major holes in your field, so that the entities have a way of getting into you, and they will not leave. Okay, so once they're in there, they're providing you with all kinds of situations so that you're making the wrong choices in terms of emotions and feeling, everything, emotions, thoughts, everything. So now your vibration lowered. Now you're emitting more things, more energy that they keep feeding, and it becomes what we call a positive feedback loop. So that whatever they're creating for you, you're providing more energy for them to stay there, to provide more things for you that you're going to continue, and it keeps going. It keeps going until you make a choice. I'm stopping it, okay? I'm aware of what's happening. I am stopping it. I'm in control of my life. And if you don't want, if you can't cold turkey, well, you say, well, hey, you know what, on Monday, I'm starting my life over again. It's almost like I'm reborn. It's almost as if I was being baptized in the ocean, let's say, and when I rise, I am a different person. I am the new me. And the new me is, tobacco-free. The new me is alcohol-free. The new me is drug-free of any drug, okay? And I'm going to tell you that when I say drugs, I'm talking about whether it's legal drugs or illegal drugs. It doesn't matter. Anything that is there to help you, like a crutch, to give you a sense of everything's fine, to make you feel better. It's a drug. Even medications are, it's synthetic. It doesn't really belong in your body. Now, the way to obviously overcome that is to have the proper nutrition and the proper water to be able to give your body the fighting chance to be able to heal itself. All right, that along with everything else, all the positive thoughts and everything else, now you start getting back into alignment with the divine you. You give yourself the fighting chance to be able to connect right back to source. Otherwise, you're always going to be finding ways to do the quick remedy. You're basically it's a boat that's sinking and it's got holes, and you're just putting in your Scotch tape over the holes. At some point, another hole's going to pop, or that same one that you plugged will pop too. So it's done a little bit at a time. You don't cold turkey, any of this. You just have to finally say to yourself, well, on Monday, let's say something that I can do is, for example, I'm not having sugar anymore. I'm just going to stop my sugar intake, or I'm going to start the Whole 30. I'm going to give that a chance. I'm going to see how that works out for me. Or I'm just going to, I'm just not going to take, every time I have a headache, I'm not going to take an aspirin. I'm just going to, drink water or, do something differently. Again, it's all choices. It's just about empowerment. The problem is that we are sometimes, babies, and we really can't deal with it, and then sometimes we're in pain, and we have to deal with that. But if you're taking medication, for example, for health issues, then, because you really do have health issues, you're going to obviously do all the steps that we're asking you to do here in terms of empowerment, using your, correct choices of other things, of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your actions, of eating the right nutrition, and now allowing your body to heal slowly, and then eventually, you yourself will go to your doctor, your professional, and say, hey, you know what, I'm feeling better. Do I really still need so much of a dose for this particular medication, or can I reduce it, or can I get off of it? And slowly but surely, I used to take high blood pressure medication, very high dosage, and slowly but surely, because I started doing everything that I'm discussing with you now, I am no longer taking any of it. Zero. It's at zero. So I'm letting you know that it is possible to do that. But anyway, drugs, alcohol, like I said, all these things, they're definitely possible, and a lot of it is, again, put here by this construct to keep us down, to keep us disconnected from our source. Toxic metals, guys, to be aware of course, would be fillings in your teeth. If you have any fillings that, the metal type, the mercury type or whatever they put in them anymore. I don't even know what they were made out of. But anyway, that stuff is leaching into your bloodstream through your saliva. Any root canals, just be aware that if you don't have a root canal and you have to have a root canal, find out what other alternatives there are, because, a lot of people do get infections, and that infection does go into your bloodstream, and a lot of people get just worse. It just gets worse, okay? Illnesses and all kinds of things. Fish consumption, for example, is, so those people who eat fish, of course, be careful with, of course, radiation now. It's one thing that we didn't have to think about before, but now we have to think about radiation. We have to think about, sometimes there's the oil that spills, like the BP situation. That's a problem. And mercury, of course, is still a problem. I personally eat farmed fish. Now, a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't be eating farmed fish. Well, I eat the farmed fish that has no hormones or any kind of antibiotics in it. And because I know that the people are it's controlled. It's a controlled environment. It's not out in the wild. If I'm going to eat a wild fish, it's going to be from the Atlantic. Me personally, I personally buy tilapia, for example, that is aquaponics raised, because I know how aquaponics works. I've trained to do that. I know exactly that's the best type of fish you could possibly eat. And again, that's up to you whether you want to, take that as a recommendation or not. Let's see here. Another thing to watch out for is the all these energies like electromagnetic fields that are out there, microwaves. A lot of you who are on this call already know not to use microwaves. Microwaves is really not a good thing. I was told specifically from the councils not to use microwaves. My microwave was specifically decommissioned by them. It just made like it fried, and it was a perfectly was working well. It was pretty new. I'm not allowed to have a microwave. The other thing is that anything having to do with smart meters, of course, cell phone towers, reduce the usage of cell phones. If you could use a landline, much better. If you need to use something, like the cell phone, try to, put it on speaker if you can. Only because if you put it in, your head, it's obviously, the radiation is getting into your brain. That's just common sense. Wireless towers, of course, all those cell phone towers, wireless routers, if you can shut it off when you go at night and when you're sleeping, that's better. If you can turn off the powers to your home, that's better because, again, the electricity and all the electromagnetic field is affecting you. One way that I counter, and I just discovered this recently, even though I play high-frequency music throughout my house during the day, I always turned it off at night. But the only thing that's really counteracting the internet and all the effects of all the electromagnetic stuff that's in the air in my house is I've been playing the Divine Name by Jonathan Goldman. I just play it over and over. I have it on a loop, and when it finishes, it's about an hour or so, and when it finishes, it starts all over again, and it plays the whole night. And it's not only shielding me, along with the Kadosh mantra that I do at night right before I go to sleep, it's allowing me to go into such levels of work and when I'm sleeping that it's unbelievable. Plus, I'm remembering my dreams, and they're very lucid. So it's just amazing. Sometimes I would have like very strange not really nightmares. I really don't have nightmares, but there used to be really strange dreams prior to that. Now it's like I'm working. I could tell that I'm working with counsel. I'm doing different things that are just on the other side, in the light body. So it's amazing. It's very transformational. I strongly recommend it. And again, one of the things that I strongly recommend, and not only with the water, is to definitely play high-frequency music continuously if you can, because we are so much water in our bodies, and the vibration is affecting the molecules in the water of your body and affecting your cells, affecting your DNA and everything. It's raising your vibration. Just that. And then you add the everything else that I said, plus the Kadosh mantra and everything. You start raising your vibration. You start taking a closer look as to what you're ingesting, and it's going to start raising your vibration. And the more that we can raise that vibration, guys, the better it is for us when we start applying all the techniques that we're going to be applying. It works like a charm. It doesn't fail. Okay, so imagine that we are doing this together. We can transform this world. We can. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of do we really want to do this? It takes work. It's not instant coffee. It takes work. And, the fact that you're on a call, and I think I mentioned it at the very beginning of the call, the fact that I was hearing so many chimes, people coming into the call is because it makes my heart sing that people are actually taking interest in this and wanting to empower themselves. When we empower ourselves, we can empower others, and when we empower others, we can change this world. Okay, we are the antidote. Okay, we are the antidote to this infestation that has happened. And but you've got to know what you're doing. These are all tools, and you've got this is a new tool I'm introducing. Let me show you how it works. Okay, so here this is the feature of it. Here's the benefit of it. This is how you use it. Now you've got to have to practice using it. Okay, practice it. So when you pick it up the next time, it's second nature to you. All right. Let's see here. So I'm just gonna go and basically go over real quick what the remedy to to the situations that we're facing in this world. And the remedy, of course, is for us personally to raise our vibration. So that, number one, you got to get right nutrition to your body. So I'm just basically recapping here. You got to get right nutrition to your body. Go back to basic foods. Okay, forget all this combination of stuff. That this nitrite and this whatever, and if you can't even pronounce it, just don't even buy it. Just go back to basics. Go back to the nutrition that is very, very basic, as if you were foraging in a forest, if you can. Okay, vegetables and the fruits, the nuts, the grain. Not the grains so much because they're genetically modified, unless you know of a grain that is not. But meats, again, if they're free range, and you know that they're not treated with any hormone or any synthetic stuff. Okay, drink plenty of water. Again, the water, because your body is 75% water, and your cells need the water inside the cell and then surrounding area of your cell to be able to communicate back and forth and to reproduce correctly. That's really important. Plus, that you want to make sure that the highest vibration is now multiplied so that you have the sacred structures, the sacred geometry forming inside the molecules of your body, and when the water molecules that are in your body now are sacred geometry, so that you're being able to hold that high vibration. That is crucial. That is crucial. Let's see here. Get the right type of bacteria to your gut, so that, remove all that stuff. So colon cleansing to get rid of the parasites, any colon irrigation, to get rid of the parasites. It's really important. Jesus does talk about that. I'm going to be posting that so you guys can read it. But then get the right bacteria back into your gut. So, definitely use probiotics to be able to do that. If you can oxygenate your blood with dry oxygen pills or any type of dry oxygen product, definitely do that. Your body, again, needs that. Your cells need oxygen as part of its protocol to be able to reproduce and to communicate correctly with one another. Let's see here. Stop ingesting, again, toxins. Anything that's toxin or that is foreign to the natural human organism, you should not be ingesting in any form. And that is a protocol given to me directly by counsel when I was about 5 years old. I was told not to take any type of toxin like that. Unfortunately, I went ahead and smoked, and when I was called to do this work, I actually had put a cigarette in my mouth, and I was actually zapped, what we call a tensor beam. It's a beam that they use sometimes to do what they do, to catch attention and to sometimes transport one person from one place to another. In this case, they used it to zap the cigarette, basically for me to get the urge of, oh, how disgusting this is, oh my God, what am I doing? And it was almost like the little light switch went on, and I'm going, oh my God, what is this thing in my mouth? And it's like it was almost like I was hypnotized all along. And all of a sudden, they zapped me, and I realized what happened, what I had been doing all that time, and I let go of the cigarette. And it was like from that point on, I haven't smoked anymore. But I had major healing had to take effect into me, because I had to close all my the holes that I had. I had a lot of holes due to the smoking. Okay, in my aura. So yeah, it's a process, but it has to start at some point. Okay, so you've got to make that choice to do that. Remove parasites. You got to remove them. They don't belong there. They're part of the denser aspect of this reality. We need to get rid of them. We get rid of them by either using colon cleansers, fasting. We can fast. That'll definitely help remove the parasites, and any type of irrigation that you can use for your colon to remove the parasites. Play high frequency music continuously, and if you could sleep with it. Oh, my gosh, guys, I am telling you, it's going to change your life. If you start sleeping with high-frequency music, just play it in the loop over and over again, you will go to such levels, that you didn't even know existed, that were even possible. And for you to remember the dreams. A lot of them are prophetic dreams. So definitely try that. This is just, everything I'm, giving you today, they're all suggestions. It's always a suggestion, and it's to you to say, to take and say, you know what, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. Yes, it's, again, it's a choice. Whether you want to hear it or not, it's up to you. I'm letting you know it works for me. A lot of the stuff that I'm giving you is already, known out there. It's nothing new to you, I'm sure. I'm just putting it all together for you so that you can see it as to how important certain protocols are to get us to that next level, okay? In other words, all the other things that are going to follow in future phone calls are going to be the actual tools themselves. These are all the things to get us there. We need to be of higher frequency, and we can't do that if we're having bad thoughts about others, even bad thoughts about ourselves. Defeating thoughts about ourselves. I'm stupid, or I'm always sick, or I'm just so old. I can't do things like that anymore. Those are just defeating type of thought patterns that have to be stopped, and that is a choice. So you've got to make those choices from now on. Let's see here. Cells, okay. Water cells, okay, got that. Okay. The last thing we're going to talk about today is blessing our food. I think it is probably the last thing. Yeah. Blessing our food is really, really important, okay, because even though we're going to be very careful about what we're eating from now on, I want to eat, vegetables and fruits and things like that, and nuts and things that are not right are falling on that food, okay? And there's nothing we can do about it at this point unless we're growing our own food. And a lot of us, that's really impractical. It's just not possible. And so we have to buy them in a store. And so we need to bless our food. And so blessing our food means there's two things. One of them is you do it because of gratitude. You have to be in an attitude of gratitude, not only because of the food you have, but because of all the wonderful things that you do have in your life, whether it's a loved one, whether it's a pet, whether it's the roof over your heads, the fact that your home is warm. How many people don't have warm homes? How many people have experienced terrible storms right now? Aren't we just grateful for the fact that we didn't experience them? Those storms came right over my house, and you know what? I'm constantly protecting my house, doing the Kadosh mantra, and I do visualize a dome using the electronic circle, which is one of the techniques that I use, over each property, and I even go out beyond that. I will protect it. I will protect the neighborhood. I will protect the city, so that it goes right over us. And I've been able to maneuver storms like that, for a very long time. So blessing our food, we're grateful of the fact that we have food. We're grateful of the fact that our food is going to nourish our body temple, okay, because our bodies is the encasing that is allowing us to be of service to others and to be of service to the Creator, to be here as anchors of the light. So we need to take care of that body, and the way we do that is through nutrition, and we are in gratitude that we are able to do that. We have the nutrition to be able to do that. The next thing you do is you bless your food because you want to transmute anything that is not in alignment to the divine. In other words, anything that is an ingredient, an aspect of something that is not intended for that food, doesn't belong there, and so we need to transmute it. So I bless my food by putting my hands over either my food. Now, when I say food, I mean food and beverage. It could be water, it could be a tea that I'm drinking, it could be lemonade, whatever that may be. It could be a cup of wine. Just bless that food where I'm actually putting my hands over it so that my fingers act like a little antenna. And they're opposite each other, so I'm like facing it as if, both hands are antenna. And I'm imagining that I'm obviously connected to my higher self, and the divine, the Creator is downpouring itself, its all its power through my higher self, and my higher self is all the way coming through my crown chakra into, going in through my fingers. So all this power of the Creator is coming in not only from my higher self, but now it's coming in through my crown chakra, and it's coming out through my fingertips. And so I'm imagining that energy, that power of Creator now enfolding whatever it is that I'm going to eat. Okay, and sometimes if it's like, for example, a table where my family's sitting, I'll actually expand my arms further apart so that now it's kind of engulfing the whole table. Okay. Now, do I look stupid? Yeah. If it's those people that that don't appreciate that, then I will just do it mentally, because I can also do it mentally. But I like to, feel the actual energy coming out of my fingers, and I do feel it. So that energy is now going to transmute anything that is not in alignment with the divine. Okay, with the original blueprint for the what that food was supposed to do, or what that food is supposed to look like. And so I transmute it and I change it. So again, anything that it doesn't belong there needs to leave. Anything that is supposed to be there will stay, and it will nourish my body. Okay, I thank the divine for that particular food, for allowing me to have it, and then I say thank you, amen, 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 or thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I do say it. I do a mental high five, like I know it's, and it feels like almost like it clicks. It's like it's almost like a little check mark. Check, it's done. I feel it. It clicks inside of me, and I know it's done. So when I eat that food or drink that beverage, I know that it's now going to be nourishing to me, and it's not going to, anything that was not it's supposed to be there is not going to affect me, because it's no longer there. All right, so that's what I do with blessings of the food. If you guys have other techniques, I would love for you guys to share. And anything that you'd like to share in that group, that would be wonderful too. Any articles or any experiences that you have as well, we would really appreciate it as well. Let's see here. Okay, so just, again, just make sure that everything that we discuss, that if I put it in an exercise, it will be great if you can try it. Definitely try it, because the more that you start seeing it, the more you try it, first of all, the better you get at it. And then you start seeing, oh, my gosh, it really worked, or, wow, I really felt different this time. I really feel more energized, or I feel more positive. And, I feel this shield around me. Well, you know what? It comes with practice. And so the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it's almost like a positive reinforcer. Then you start seeing it, and the more you see it, the more you want to do it. And that's the way it works. I also raise vibration also another way, which is I do the Merkava Activation. Some people know how to do it. Some people don't know how to do it. I've been doing it for quite a while, so I will actually activate my Merkava, but it's not necessary, okay? It's not necessary. Everything that I'm going to discuss with you, and there's other ways, of course, to raise vibration, but by raising vibration through music and all the other ways that I've discussed, and especially making sure that you're in Christ-like, your demeanor is Christ-like, so that everything falls in alignment with the correct thoughts and feelings and actions that a Christ being would do. And then, again, act as if, fake it till you make it. Act as if you are Christed, okay? And eventually everything will fall into place. And that's pretty much what I have for you today. I just wanted to get from you all, if there were anybody who was on the call last week that actually had the opportunity to do any of the exercises. I would love to hear your experience. If you had any challenges that you wanted to discuss, any questions that you have, or any questions that any of you may have in reference to what was discussed today, I will be more than happy to share that, to entertain that with you. So you can unmute yourself if you want to speak or ask questions or make a comment.
Hi, Ari. Christine.
Who's this?
Christine.
Hey, Christine.
I just wanted, this was all wonderful. I really loved it. And there was a few questions that I had that I didn't quite catch certain things. And then I got kicked off the call. I had to come back on. I was like, oh, my gosh, what happened? And she's gone. But I was the one who was gone. But I just wanted to clarify a few things. On the farming issues, my family's been farming since 1894, and there's a big agenda to kill farmers in our country and make them sound all evil, and we do this and we do that. And there's a lot of myth out there, and there's a lot of half-truths. And I just wanted to clarify a few things, because a lot of the practices that they claim we don't do, or we don't do anymore, or haven't been done in decades. So one of the things that the organic movement pushes out there is that conventionally raised meat and dairy has hormones and antibiotics in it. Well, that used to be true, but after starting in 2013, the USDA requires you cannot use antibiotics in animals. And if you give an animal an antibiotic for an infection or whatever the illness the animal has, they have to come to the food production. So if they're laying eggs or if they're being raised for meat or if they're being milked, they cannot be in the food production during the course of the antibiotics, and they have to wait so many days after the course of antibiotics is finished before they can even then be tested. And if they still have antibiotics in their system, they're not allowed to go back into the production line. So they're not allowed to be, they have to be milked. The milk has to be thrown away. Eggs collected, eggs have to be thrown away. And they're not allowed in the food production line. So there shouldn't be any antibiotics in milk and meat, and it has to work out of the system before they're allowed in. And then we're not allowed to. It's been a law for years. You cannot feed chickens. At least chickens in California cannot be fed hormones, and animals for meat production in California cannot be fed hormones. We have stricter food laws here in California than most of the United States, and they cannot be fed hormones. So those are some of the things that...
Hey, guys, I'm back. I'm sorry about that, Christina.
I've been talking to myself.
Yeah, I was thrown out. I'm sorry. All right, so you were talking about the fact that they're no longer allowing antibiotics and things like that, they'd have to pull the animal out?
The animal has to be taken out of production, and they have to be tested. They have to show no antibiotics in their system. They're not allowed to give them hormones for growth and whatnot. So that's been since 2013 for the USDA. California has stricter laws, so it's a little bit sooner for us. And then a lot of the, in the past, in order to get new breeds and new species of plants that produce better and stuff, everything was pollinated by hand, and it took years to grow. It takes 5 years before a tree goes into production of fruit. And so they would cross-pollinate things to see which would be a sweeter fruit, what would bear more fruit, what would have resistance to certain disease. And it took years, it took decades to come up with a new variety that would resist disease, wouldn't need spraying or less spraying. But now they can do that all in the lab because they've mapped the genome, and they can figure out what kind of tree they're going to get if they crossed this tree with this pollen with that tree. And a lot of the genetically modified things that you're hearing about, yeah, they've been done in the lab, but it's actually cut down the process of getting a new species on the market that resists, certain funguses or certain diseases, certain insects, that they're not putting any chemicals in it. They're just crossing certain varieties. Like they'll get a certain variety from the Middle East that does really well, the rootstock, and they'll graft it with this, and they can figure out what kind of fruit they're going to get. And it just quickens the pace. There is genetically modified things like where they put the Roundup in some of the grain or wherever they do so they don't have to spray out in the fields. But that's different than a lot of the other stuff that people think are like frankenfoods, but it's really they've cut down the time where it takes to figure out what kind of fruit you're going to get from this tree that you cross-pollinated out in the field. So there's a lot of misconception, and I think it's because farmers are really salt-of-the-earth people, and growing up in the farming community, if anybody can smell bullshit, deception, and lies, it's a farmer. You see it. They're so close to the earth. They're so close to the animals they raise, and people are always trying to knock them down. So just some of those things aren't true anymore, but if things are grown outside the United States, I can't vouch for that. Right. But those are the laws. Those are the laws and regulations they are held by. So they're pretty strict. So if you're getting your stuff from like a California farm, you're getting pretty good, high-quality food to begin with. So just be eased on that. But as for the stuff falling from the air, we have no control over that.
Exactly, yeah. And we don't really know half the stuff.
And really wash your stuff. Just always wash your stuff. Just clean it, make sure, and always pray over it. I do that.
Exactly.
So I just want to kind of like clarify those things so people don't keep spreading misinformation.
Okay, good. Well, thank you.
And then I wanted to ask a question. What was the high frequency that you played, the music you were saying? It was the Divine Name by Jonathan Goldman?
The Divine Name by Jonathan Goldman.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that like on iTunes or?
You can get it on iTunes, or you can even start listen to it on YouTube. I believe they have it on YouTube as well.
Now, does
The
it
only
matter
thing
how
is on
loud
YouTube
you
is
play
you're
it?
not going to be able. I'm sorry.
Does it matter how loud you play, or you can play it at low volume?
Oh, I'm playing it right now. It's in the room where I'm at right now. It's kind of low, but at the same time, it's loud enough that I could feel it. I could feel it in my cells.
Okay.
Yep.
And then a lot of the food stuff that you do, I practice anyway, because you just feel better. And my weakness is sugar, and I can tell because as soon as I eat something sugary, my eyes start to burn, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. Some people have sensitivities to it, and others don't even know that they have sensitivities to it. So yeah, but it's what I like about the Whole30 is that you get rid of all of that. It's almost like you're a baby and you're starting from scratch, and then you for 30 days you didn't even know that you were that you had a situation with sugar or you had a situation with beans. You didn't know that corn was affecting you, and when you introduce them back after the 30 days, did you start feeling yucky and your stomach hurts? Well, maybe you had a sensitivity to it, and that was causing inflammation or whatever. See, so it's pretty cool. I mean, my son just kept trying to make me get on it, and I was like, no way. There's no way I'm doing it. I don't have the time, and it's all the excuses that we make for ourselves. And then one day I was just feeling so terrible. It was on my birthday, and I was having a piece of cake for my birthday, and I said, you know what? Tomorrow. I'm starting this tomorrow. So my daughter's laughing. Yeah, right. And I did it, and as I've done it like 3 times already.
Good for you.
Like, yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's once you're on it, and you're like, oh, I don't know that I want to get away from this because when I bring the stuff back in, it hurts.
Yeah, it does.
I don't want to hurt. Yeah.
It hurts dramatically because I used the Dr. Schultz program, and it detoxes like the bowels from the top to the bottom. It pulls out all the parasites and the junk and the stuff cleans the walls of your intestines, and then he has a liver and gallbladder cleanse and a kidney cleanse as well. And once you go through that whole program and do all of those, and you introduce food back in, oh my gosh, what a huge difference.
Oh, I know, for real. Awesome. Thank you, Christine, for sharing. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime to kind of clarify things sometimes.
Definitely. Anyone else? We all pretty much done? No other questions? Anybody do any of the exercises from last week?
Oh, I did. I kept doing the Kadosh mantra more.
You did?
Yeah, and it like money popped in from out of nowhere.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if that's part of it, but yeah, it came from a loan that was paid off, and extra fees were charged, and $700 came out of it was like from 3 years ago. So that was weird.
Wow. Well, see, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows what it is. Sometimes what it is that you need. Universal mind does make it happen for you. So cool. Anyone else want to share anything or have any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
This is Patty up in Spokane, Washington. Hey, I got your book in the mail a couple of days ago, Getting Back to Source.
Cool.
So I'm reading that, and it's amazing. Since last week and doing all the stuff that I'm doing and seeing, I realize now that I have been doing it all backwards all my life, sort of.
Oh, no.
I thought it was coming from outside of me instead of inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't know how to handle my own power, my own divine nature. So, yes, this is helping me so very much. And I truly believe that I can heal this with what I'm going through. And
well, definitely. Well, here's what I'm going to correct something just to help you. So what the verbiage is, I know that I can heal myself.
Okay.
Yeah, because believe is like, if today you'll believe it and tomorrow you may not, But if you know it, it's certainty. There's no other way,
knowledge.
Other outcome.
It's knowledge.
You got it.
It's already done. How about let's put it this way? I've already healed it.
There you go.
I haven't been to the doctor since last February to have it even looked at, and I feel great. So it's probably already done. It is already done.
It's
Probably
it is done.
And I am very, very interested in seeing if I can work with you on a one-to-one level, even if I have to pay for it. I believe that you could help me. I really do.
All right, sweetheart. Well, I can definitely.
After hearing your story, and I was unable to hear your daughter sing because of my silly computer, but
you can hear her sing. No, that's okay. That I've got some other songs.
as a young girl, I had a beautiful voice. I won a scholarship to college on my voice.
Oh, my goodness.
But due to circumstances,
sure.
I didn't get to go. My sister was smart, and she had to go next year. And mine didn't cover tuition, and I was only gifted in music, so it would have been a catastrophe because I barely made it through school because I didn't conform. You know how that goes. In regular classes, but I got straight A's in music, so I got a 2.8 when I graduated.
Wow.
But college would have been hard for me, you know. But my brain has grown so much now.
Yeah. Not everybody's cut out for college, you know.
Nope.
So sometimes we have to do what makes our hearts sing, and no pun intended. So.
Yeah, I learned it from the School of Hard Knocks.
There you go. Yeah, that's the best school of them all, right there.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, good. I'm glad. If you have any questions, then you can always email me or even post it on in the group for that way everybody gets to see your question, and they may have the same question too. And
okay. And I don't know about anybody else, but I got dropped for a couple seconds.
I did too, Patty.
Well, I did too.
So we all got dropped, and we all came back on it. What a wonderful concept this is.
Yeah, at some point, the thing is that, this is a free service, and thank God we don't have like 50 people in the call at one shot. I mean, I don't know, everybody would be dropped at one point or another, but, if we get more people eventually, then, we could probably even start doing video conferencing with a different company together, but the problem is that they charge a lot of money. So
Yes. We need a lot of callers. I'll work on that. I love you so much.
So. Anyway, anybody else want to make a comment or have questions? If not, we'll call it a night. All right, going once, twice. All right. Well, whomever's left, thank you very much for being on the call and listening in. Hopefully, there's a couple of things. A lot of things that were basically brought up today. They were not new by any means. So, but they're put together for the purpose of making sense of why we need to do what we need to do, why the fact that we've been learning about all these things all this time, why it's important to choose correctly, why it's important to guard our thoughts, do this, why it's important not to put the wrong type of nutrition in our bodies, why it's important to drink more water, why it's important to play high frequency music, all these things, keeping away from as much as possible from the lower type of electromagnetic type of frequencies. All these things are important, and if we can't, because we're bombarded by all this, then we, of course, by blessing our food, by playing high vibrational music, by keeping our other things that we do have control over, like our thoughts and our emotions and our actions, all these things will counteract the negative that's out there in the world. So hopefully you all have a fantastic weekend and what's left of it tomorrow, Sunday, and a great week coming up. I'm probably going to have another call next Saturday because everybody's has Friday for the 1st. So we'll have it the next Saturday, and if you have any questions in the interim, I will be posting information on the stuff that we discussed today in the group. Okay? So if you have any questions, just go ahead and email me or post it there. Okay?
Thank you, Ari. This was wonderful.
Thank you very much. Have a great, blessed evening, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, take care.
Growing. Keep our spirits growing. Thank you.
Take care, Patty.
Thank you. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sevayot, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.